Yes.
Hello, hello, welcome. We will start in a few minutes. Figure about 20 to 30 minutes. My name is Jeff. I'm the COO of Deepblocks. You're going to hear this a few times as people roll in. I usually give people a few minutes. Today I'm filling in for Mike, so if you're expecting Mike, apologies. Mike is out today, so I'm filling in, and we're going to go over some assembly strategies. Very excited. Super cool stuff we got in store for you to check out. So bear with me, a few more minutes, let some people roll in, and we'll get rolling. If you don't know, this is the website, www.deepblocks.com. A lot of constructive information here. Always a big question, what markets do you cover? If you need to see that, we're not going to be covering that today in depth, but just click the cities and you will see a list of everywhere we have across the country. Anywhere in red here in the map, we have zoning information. Blue would mean we have the parcel information and the zoning information. I'm sorry, just the parcel information. Red, we have both parcels and zoning information. To learn more, feel free to shoot us an email. Our contact information is here. Mine specifically is jeff@deepblocks.com. Or if you prefer to talk to Michael, feel free. His is michael@deepblocks.com as well. Also, if you have questions, feel free to shoot a note on the chat. Just use your toolbar on Zoom, select chat, it'll come up, and shoot me a note if you have a question or anything like that, and I'll be sure to try to address your question over the course of the webinar. If it's a little more in depth or something you want to kind of ask me on the side, you're more than welcome. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. There you have it. And just shoot it there. A couple more minutes, a few more late attendees, and I'll get started. All right, so let's get started. Thank you for attending today. This is the Deepblocks Pro webinar. We are going to specifically be addressing the assemblage strategy for putting together assemblages here specifically in South Florida. I'm going to walk you through that. I have a couple things in mind. Feel free to, again, drop me a note in the chat. Just pull up the chat. I left my contact there, jeff@deepblocks.com. If needed, feel free to drop me a note as well. If anything's unclear or you have some follow-up questions or something more specific. This is the website, as you can see. A lot of different types of information here. You can log in with your account here for those that don't know. We have the cities here. There's 100 cities across the country that we have the zoning information highlighted here in red. If you scroll down, you can see a list of them. We also take cities by request and things like that. If there's more specific areas or locations that you and your team need, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, you could shoot me a note. You could shoot Michael a note. He is usually running the webinars. I'm just filling in today, so bear with me. And let's jump into the software and check this out. So we're going to be looking at assemblage strategies specific to South Florida today. All you have to do is open up your Deepblocks software. I am in the Pro version. And this is our dashboard. So I'm just going to go through some high-level stuff first to start. For those that aren't familiar, I'm just going to go to my search engine, and I can drop in any location that I'm looking for, that I'm curious about. Today, like I said, we're going to keep it to South Florida. So I'm going to drop in here Miami, select search, and you'll see that the software will automatically bring me to the city of Miami here, and the parcels show up. That's what's in blue. As you can see, when I roll over with my mouse, they start to become highlighted. So there's multiple things we can do here in our search. And what we're going to do is start off, have a few things saved here. And I just want to give you kind of a broad sense of the different tools at your disposal. Up here, you can search more specifically at an address, as you can see here, right? I'm up here in the top left, right? Just typed a few things. Below that is the tools. So this is very important. This can help you put together assemblages by clicking this button, go into 3D mode, pretty cool. You can start to like move around, check out things from a different perspective, super helpful. Go back into 2D, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, as well as go into satellite mode. Satellite mode is super helpful to kind of see what you're dealing with on the ground. We have two specific tools when you select an actual parcel that you could be interested in. One is right here, which would be satellite mode. I'll show you how that works. And then also Street View, which is pretty cool and a new addition if you're new to the software. So let me move around a little bit, get reoriented here. Sorry about that. There. So we have 95 here. If you're not familiar, this is kind of the downtown area and the Bay of Miami here. And what I'd like to do to start my search is look over here. On your left are your tools, like I was mentioning, you have your tools and different sliders, which we can run our search. I'm going to show you that in a second. Then on the right is the map layers. There's multiple different types of map layers you can check out. We're not going to dive into that today. We have different trends you can highlight as well. So basically, the way I like to think about it, if you want to kind of play with different variables and things like that, when you're looking at your search, you come over here on the left. If you want to visualize things and see things that the software provides, most likely that's over here on the right. So for instance, when I want to start to search for assemblages, and maybe I'm looking for a specific type of, let's say, unit count, right? Maybe I'm looking for between 90 and 120 units, for example. If I pull up the buildable area ratio map here, I can start to see on a very high level the dark red versus the yellow versus the orange, where are the most dense areas to potentially build. So that gives me kind of the first kind of insight into where I can potentially start looking. So let's start off simply and say, you know what, I'm really interested, you know, the product, the assets I like to build are between 90 and 120 units. So I'm going to shut off the buildable area ratio so you can see my results. And there you can see my results are highlighted in this greenish kind of blue color. These are relatively large parcels, as you can see, right? There's a few smaller ones in here as well. And what I'm kind of looking for is, you know, are they kind of start to get close to each other, right? Are these opportunities for assemblages? And of course, you can start to move around the map. The map will save your search. So you don't have to keep like readjusting or things like that. The only thing you have to readjust is your location. So you can see as I move around, maybe there's some opportunities in here, right? But let's get even more specific, right? The easy kind of simple way of doing this is saying, all right, there's 41 parcels. You can see I'm looking right here. And all of these allow me to build between 90 units and 120. Great. But let's say, you know what? I'm looking for assemblage opportunities specifically, multiple parcels that I can put together to get me to my 90 or 120 units. Okay. My next step would be, let me come down here and go to the existing building area toggle. You can see that here. We drop in 0 for vacant land, and then we're going to do a max of 1,500. Okay. So once I put that in there, the software automatically updates, right? It goes from, you could see I had 41 parcels before. Now I only have 90. I'm sorry, 9, as you can see there. And you can see these different opportunities here, right? And in here. So sure, it makes sense, right? That I have a limited amount of parcel options. But let's say, if you know you're going to put together assemblage, let's say I want each parcel to allow between 20 and let's say 30 parcels, 30 units, sorry. This will start to broaden my search, right? And give me more insight into different opportunities now. As you can see, I'm moving around. The software is updating, and there's a few opportunities I see up in here, maybe I want to look at, right? And over down here on my bottom right, I'm looking at where parcels are kind of next to each other. And, these are different opportunities where I could potentially either look to acquire all these parcels along here, maybe just stay within these 3. Here's a nice little set of them as well. So you can first do a broad kind of search like I just did. You can pull up some more information if you're interested, right? Like, okay, like who owns this property? I can scroll down and you can see I'm just looking at my property info panel over here on the left. And I can say, well, that's great, it's vacant. And here's the ownership information, and here's some basic zoning limits information as well that we provide. The nice thing is if you are familiar with, let's say, a specific area, you can also pull up the zoning map. So if you know that, for instance, in Miami, T68 allow for some relatively nice density and some nice projects as far as verticality is concerned, this might be a real opportunity to kind of look at even further. And we can take that further, right? So we know this is in a T68, we know that by the map, but we also know it here on our zoning limits. And what I'd like to do is maybe just let's verify it. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going on here. I'm zoom in here. I put on my satellite map. Just want to check this out. Zoom in here, and I'm going to turn off my results, and you can see that there's actually, wow, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 empty lots. It looks like a parking lot here. So this is a real opportunity. Very nice. So I'm going to turn back on my results. I'm going to open up my scanner again. And then I'm just going to select one, right? I have my assemblage tool selected. I want to select one, right? And let's put them together. So when I mean put it together, all the software is doing is it's adding the lot sizes and the rules of the zoning in order to give me an idea of what I could potentially build here. Now, before we do that, we just saw in plan view kind of what could potentially, we know they're empty lots, right? But we can also pull up Google Street Map, which is a nice little tool we just added that allows you to see them in real time. So sometimes don't automatically, but there they are, right? I can just select it, pull it up here. Sorry, let me just open this up for you a little bit. And you can see it here, right? So now I know and have verified they're empty, right? These are the lots. And let's just do a quick model, right? So what I want to check is a couple things. One is, here's the total lot size. There's 45,000 vacant, right? Potential market value, all owned. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are all owned by the same person, which is nice, or entity, as you can see. And then the biggie, right? How many potential units? There you go, 156. So we've actually went more than what we were looking for. We were looking for between 90 and 120. But look, quickly, let's get an idea of what we're looking at. I'm just going to hit continue here, right? It's populating the FAR based on the zoning rules. And now the software is going to populate a 3D model for me. And all I want to do is kind of show you quickly what can be done here. It's taking a little longer because of the satellite mode. So I'm just going to shut that off and put it into the graphical mode just for time considerations. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Yeah. Switch it back into graphic mode. There, okay. All right, let's put together this assemblage again. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have this one, the 6th, preliminary, multifamily. And let's pull up this 3D model. Great. So all I'm going to do is, we know specifically here in Miami, we want to get that lot coverage to about 80%. I had it right about there, right? And we had, I believe it was 100, let's see. And I'm pulling up the zoning, 156 units, great. 156 units, and there you go, right? Without parking. This is what you're looking at on a very kind of general, high level. I put them all at 2-bedroom units. Those are about 1,000 square feet. Of course, you can drop that, right? You'd say, well, that's a little big. Maybe it's 850, right? And things like that. Of course, the software is super flexible. You can come in here, drop in retail, also add in parking, do things like that. But for today, we're not going to get into those specifics. We want to stick specifically to the assembly strategies. So that's our first one, right? We can then go back to our dashboard, and you see the software will automatically save our project. We have it right there, you know. And let's go back into Miami. Just to give you a sense of how this is all done. And once again, we'll have the parcels. And there's a couple other opportunities that I'd like to kind of walk through that I have interest in general that I thought would be cool for this. So that first one is multiple parcels, right? You can see my search is saved. And look, there's a lot of opportunity in different places that we didn't look. Down here on the right on 3rd Street. This looks like a nice setup on 3rd Street again over here. And if you're familiar, the thing I like about the zoning map, for instance, is if you're familiar with working in a specific, let's say, zone, let's say you always work in T68s, or you're more into T5s or T5s, you can automatically highlight those, right? Or you can also just pull them up, right? Here within the software, and the software will automatically select all the parcels that meet that criteria. So let's say, for instance, T680, right? Automatically, the software says, hey, there's 205 parcels here. A lot of flexibility here. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So again, and remember, you can export this as a CSV. If you want to know within this area that you're looking, every single parcel that's zoned to T680, you can export it as a CSV. And as you can see, downloads to your hard drive, open it up, and you'll have basic information about every single property within your search. Just going to pull it up so you can see it real quick. Pretty cool. You'll have the address, right? City, state, zip code, folio, if we have it, year built, all the essentials, essentially, to get you started down that road of acquisition. So let's continue down this road of assemblages. And what I'd like to do now is, let's say you're a builder or looking for a client specific to, let's say, a type of product as far as class, maybe A, B, C. And what I like to do is bring up the medium income map, as you can see here. So that overlaid with the zoning, I can look for high density potential zoning areas within low income areas, if that's kind of my niche, maybe. Here's maybe a little more medium income in this 52 to 50 range, right? These are census tracts that allow us to kind of highlight these areas specifically right off the bat, right? Green and this bluish color will give us more high-end areas. And of course, if you're buying high-end, looking for a high-end product, condo or multifamily, these areas are the ones you may want to target just because of the medium income. Also population, that's another fun one, just to give you insight into where the people are and where they're living. Those are two of my kind of always gut, I would say, like gut checks, that and the zoning. A third one is opportunity zones, pretty hot at one time, but we have them all highlighted. And again, if you're going to look for specific strategies in assemblage, you can always pull up and overlay these maps into your specific different variables that you're looking at. So the one I wanted to show you was, let's pull up, I'm looking for, let's say, older existing assets for potential redevelopment plays, right? Again, we're sticking to the idea of assemblages. So I'm going to put in, let's say, from 1950 to 1970, right? I'd like to see all the parcels. You see that there's 460 highlighted, right? And let's kind of hone this a little bit and go back to our units allowed and say, you know what, only 20 to 30 units allowed. Again, I'm going to look for that between 90 and 120 units. And you can see that from that, what did we have? 460, we now dropped it all the way down to 40, which is great. And it makes sense, right? Over here on the right, and we can verify this by our buildable area ratio, high density, right? Downtown Miami, closer to the Bay, versus medium and kind of lower end density when you move out to the west, here along Miami River, and here's 95. The zoning kind of backs that up as well. And then, of course, our search does as well, because as we can see, when we move west, there's different properties and parcels that are now getting highlighted that offer opportunity for assemblages, like right in here. This is kind of nice, T612. So let's select that, right? And you can do multiple things here. We can say, I'm going to pull up my assemblage tool and say, you know what? Let's do something like this, right? And I'm going to zoom into these. Again, let's see kind of what we're dealing with. I'm going to pull up Street View just to see it. See what we have. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like somebody's shop. Okay. Let's pull up this one, Street View. See. Okay. Again, I like to go back to the satellite view to kind of verify what's there. We're gonna also shut off the results so we can see. This search button just removes those. So it looks like maybe some older style buildings. Well, we know it's from 1950 to 1970. And what I'm gonna do, go back to the graphical and let's kind of model this out. So we have between 20 and 30, just to reiterate, 20 and 30 units, right? So let's say this could probably be between 120 and 150 units, right? And older product, existing building assets between 1950 and 1970. So I select my assemblage tool. I'm gonna say, all right, if I acquire this, and this, Okay, we have 5 parcels selected. You see on the left within the property info panel, the software automatically kind of aggregates the data for us, right? It puts together the legal addresses, the total lot size, you can see that here, the folio numbers, the years they were built, meeting our criteria. Always a big one, ownership, right? You can see that here. It doesn't look like we have multiple, maybe 2 of the parcels that looks like are owned by the same potential entity. And then lastly, how many total units can we actually build here? So 122 units, and I just want to go through that process once again. Right? And let's see, kind of demographic that we're dealing with here. Income-wise, it's low, it's a lower end. I know that just by the red. I'm going to zoom out a little so I can get a sense what that number is. Let's see, 26, about 26,000. Population-wise, relatively high density. I know that because of my familiarity with the software, but about 6,000 within the census tract itself. So preliminary underwrite, just like we did before, let's select multifamily. And the model will automatically pop up using all the different assembled pieces. So that 35,000. And we're going to do the same process, right? I want to go to the setbacks. I know that, and just to keep it quick and simple for today, that the zoning rules allow for lot coverage of 80. So you see, I just adjusted them very quickly to get a high level understanding of what could potentially be built here. You see that number right there is at 80, exit. And then I think it was 122. Let's see. I pull up my property info panel over here on the right, and let's see. It was, yes, 122. So just like I did before, we have our units here. For simplicity, we automatically generate the units using 2-bedroom. We're going to stick with that. Of course, all of this is customizable by you. If you want to come in here, feel free. If you know or you've been studying this lot or assemblage, feel free to come in here and change it up, right? Like you can do a multiple of different scenarios as well, things like that, to keep you at your 122. You can see I'm just kind of playing around with the different unit types in order to maybe play with my potential return. You can see that's automatically updating as well, and the massing of the property itself. So it looks like we have no height restriction, I believe. Number of floors, 12. Okay, 12, we're under that. I know that because right here, floors is 6. My units is here. My FAR with parking is 4.32. We didn't put in parking yet, but we can. We know that lot coverage is 80%. I'm just verifying that over here. And it looks like we're good to go. Now, again, you can come in here. We can say, you know what? I know the parking is 1.5, and it'll add that in there for you automatically, right? To give you a better sense. Project cost, all of these variables are, of course, adjustable by you. You can change these as you see fit for different, let's say, A, B, C product types, right? Maybe a little cheaper, bump up that return. You can see that my return on cost is changing as I change things like the hard cost on a per square foot basis or the acquisition cost, right? Let's say I don't have to pay as much. I'm going to put 6 million and things like that. So those are 2 specific strategies that have been very beneficial. As you can see, when I hit dashboard, both of my projects are saved here. This is the one we went through earlier. And again, one last one we can go through. And if you have any questions, once again, feel free to drop me a note within the chat on Zoom. If not, if you have something more specific, feel free to email me, jeff@deepblocks.com. I left it in the chat box as well. So the idea here is to really give you different tools and flexibility in order to find assemblage strategies that may fit your firm or your potential clients' needs. There are a lot of different ways to do this, and the tools that we provide here are just kind of one simple way to start that process, right? Another one we can look at is, let's say you only deal in specific lot sizes, not very common, but something that we have seen before. I'm just going to do 5,000 to 15,000, right? And say, as you can see, there's a massive amount, right? About 1,000 parcels. I'm just looking up here. And let's say within those, I'd like to build, let's keep the number the same, around 20 to 30 units. And you can see everything to the east kind of gets removed. Why? Because that's a very high dense area per the zoning. And everything towards the west obviously is offering much more opportunity. And the interesting thing here is, as you move up, I would say in lot sizes, and things like that, there could be potential for more assemblage strategies just because of either the way they were originally platted and things like that, as far as the cities are concerned. Something to remember is where this data is available within the software, these strategies are all viable. These tools will be available for you in all different of the 100 cities that we have across the software. This is not limited to Southeast Florida or Miami specifically, or Florida in general. So just keep that in mind. So we have our lot sizes, and again, we could probably get even more specific here, right? So I have my lot sizes, 5,000 and 15,000, my lot in units allowed. We can change this. Let's say maybe a bigger project, maybe 50 to 80, 40 to 80. And our search goes down to 98 parcels, right? Looks like there's some opportunity in here along this row. And let's refine our search even more. Maybe bring in that year built. Let's see what happens when I put in, so I activated the year built, and you can see that our results got even less. Okay? So, which is very handy. Sometimes it's better to know where the product is not, in some sense. So these different locations offer different opportunities as far as potential assemblage strategies, maybe on the corner here. A little more difficult as you refine the search with bigger parcels. That's what we found. What we can do is go back to the original, which was, hey, give me an existing building, which we're assuming is single family, and let's say 20 to 30, and remove the year built, and you can see that our options kind of move up once again. The nice thing is, and the thing to keep in mind is, you can keep playing with this, right? Maybe bigger size potential houses, right? Built maybe a little newer, but with the possibility of being, say, 80. Oh, not 1900, 1980. 1980, 60. So a few, one little one right here, right? And again, I would stress that it's kind of nice to be able to verify these things without having to get in your car and check it out. We offer kind of the beginning of the litmus test, right? What you want to check out and verify before you start getting in your car to check these out, or having your team go over there or contact a broker. You can start to verify this stuff quickly and basically immediately. So the last one, and feel free, again, if you have any questions, let's just, again, I'm going to use the assemblage tool right here, select all 3 parcels. I'm going to, let's see, let's scroll down here. We have built in 1965 and 66, potential market value, 3 different owners, so probably a little tougher, but also 76 potential units can be built here, which is nice. Pull up the street view just to verify quick. When this happens for you, you can just drop in the address. What I like to do is just come here. If you're an active user, it's just a thing with Google Maps. Just select. There you go. So I can see it right there. Looks like a holder, obviously, such. Go from there. So I'm going to model this again real quick. Maybe we'll put some retail on the bottom because it looks like a very active street with some high density. So once again, the software automatically populates a 3D model based on the zoning FAR. And then essentially you can come in here and adjust it as you see fit to conform to the specificity of the rules. So I know that the lot coverage is 80. I'm just doing this quick for example purposes, put it at 78. You can come in here, you can change the different setbacks and adjust them as you see fit as well. This is just, again, a simplified version to show you. Let's look at our unit count. Pull it up over here. I'm just pulling up the property info panel. That's the same info panel that we saw on the Project Explorer page, project interface page. So it's 76 units. Again, keep it simple with the 2 bedrooms. You can see that here we have 7 floors under our limit. Looks like we have a nice bonus, 30% FAR. You can see here. So 76 units. It looks like we're in a good spot. I'm just going to pull up our return analysis. We didn't get into this in the other ones, but this is just a high level return on cost. So you can see some numbers relative to your project that we auto populate for you. And of course, you can adjust. Remember, like I said in the beginning, most of your adjustments are going to happen over here on the left. Your results will be over here on the right and on the bottom. Pretty handy tool down here in the bottom is the KPIs, where you can see the return being updated as you make changes to your assumptions. So as I change the number of units, not only does the model get bigger, the return changes, etc. Real-time feedback, project cost, and let's put in some parking. 5 retail. I'm going to check. It's been a little while, so let's check it out. Retail, 3 spaces per 1,000. So I'll put in 3 here. And there we have it. We have 10 floors. We're still within the limits. We haven't even went into the bonus yet, so that just means we can make retail a little bigger if we wanted to, right? Double that. Double that. See what we get here. First floor, all with retail. 11 floors. We're just about at our limit, as you can see, but a nice kind of high-level understanding of what can or cannot potentially be done using the assemblage strategy tool. Sorry, not a tool, but the different ways of thinking about assemblage strategies using the market scanning tool and the preliminary underwriting tool as well. If you have any questions, feel free to put in a note before we go. That's about all I have for today. And as always, please remember the projects are saved here. The Deepblocks Pro subscription and pricing and the cities available are always available on the website. Just go to deepblocks.com. Have over 100 cities across the country. Always going to be releasing more. We're updating the data as well as we speak. The team is hard at work on that. Just released these 100 cities. We had 43 and we just released another 57. So those are all included here. Again, the list is here on the website. Anything in red has zoning and the parcels, so basically functions just like we saw today in Miami. Anything with just the blue just has the parcels and no zoning information as of yet. We take requests and things like that for your team. So if necessary, please drop us a line. We would love to hear from you. We're more than happy to try to help and go from there. With that, I really appreciate everyone's time today for showing up and hope you all have a great afternoon. Take care.